I'm an alcoholic and my name is Travers. I would like to say thank you, Mr. Chairman, for those opening remarks, and I'd like to say how very grateful I am to be here personally tonight. I bring you greetings from the group to which I belong, the Newcomers Group in Bristol, and they send you all their love, whether or not you can be with us at the reunion in Bristol this week. The group also, of course, send their special love to the founder 35 years ago of Bristol AA, who's sitting in this room tonight, and that is Dr. Jim sitting over there. Jim, they all send you their love, and they're waiting for your arrival on Friday. I have another special greeting to bring, which is a very important greeting, I think, for you people in the North. Alcoholics, if you look behind them, those who have good recovery and do remarkable things, you will always find a good non-alcoholic woman. And one of these great non-alcoholic women spoke to me on Friday last, and on pain of death made sure that I would bring you her personal greetings and her love for the great joy you have given her husband in his recovery. And I'm, of course, talking to about Margaret Flynn, Connor's wife. Margaret is now in her 80s, and she was really the person who inspired him to come to Ireland to begin to carry a message back in 1946. Margaret comes from the North, and when I told her I was coming up here, she asked that particularly that message should be delivered to all members of AA and Al-Anon in the North. I have to talk about something else tonight. First of all, I'd like to say that it's not the first time, it's a few times now that I've acted as a kind of warm-up speaker for Clancy. I do 10 minutes, and Clancy does anything up to 2 hours and a quarter. But I'm rather sorry to have to tell you tonight, Clancy is not doing too well. He's feeling very tired and a little jaded, and the roles have been slightly reversed. I'm doing 2 hours and a quarter, and he's doing 10 minutes. In the little time that's available to me, I want to talk really about something else. And that is that last Thursday, I received a call from GSO in New York to tell me that Lois Wilson, the widow of our founder, Bill, had died that day. She was 97 years of age. And later in the day, I had a call confirming and telling me all the details from Nell Wing, who was Bill's secretary for so many years. And I felt it would be appropriate, or would be inappropriate if I did not make some comments tonight on the death of Lois Wilson. She was 97 years of age. And like Margaret Flynn, she had been an inspiration in seeing that her husband found recovery from his condition of alcoholism. She did not know how, where, or when he would find it, but she kept sending him forward. And eventually, of course, he, by various routes that we know, he did find a lasting recovery in AA. And she was ever present to him, and she was a great strong force in his life. And it fell to her eventually to gather up the groups that had begun to meet of the families and get some cohesion among them and form eventually the Al-Anon family groups. And I, as an AA recovering member, it would be quite wrong tonight if I did not, on behalf, I think, of all my fellow alcoholics in AA, offer our condolences to all the members of Al-Anon who are present here tonight, who have lost a great leader. And we do have leaders in AA and in Al-Anon. We don't let the personalities override the principles or the rest of the fellowship. We do have leaders, and Nell, like Bill, was a great leader. Lois, like Bill, was a great leader. We are very sorry you have lost Lois. We are indeed very grateful for Lois's life, because she was the person whom really perhaps we owe most for the things she helped Bill to do. throughout his recovery for us. Now, I was privileged to know Lois personally for many, many years. I was privileged to attend her birthday parties in the spring of each year. I used to go across to Stepping Stones. And the great thing in her latter years, though she became infirmed and very aged, she had all her faculties. Last time I was with her was in the spring of this year when I went up to Stepping Stones. Now, I want to give you some personal recollections of Lois. They are my own personal recollections and how I saw this remarkable woman. First of all, I always thought if she was perhaps a little lacking in one thing. Maybe it's not to be expected if you've had a long life living with an alcoholic, but I felt she was a little lacking in humor until a couple of years ago. And then we were sitting one day with Nell Wing, and she told a beautiful story about our other speaker tonight, Clancy, which he had never heard until a few days ago. And that goes back to 1960, the International Convention held at Long Beach in an open auditorium. And on the Friday night, she and Bill were down, and quite against all the climatic conditions you would expect from the state of California, a freak cold hit that state. It was bitterly cold on the opening night of the convention. And Bill had decided that night to deliver a talk which lasted over 2 hours. And as time wore on, people got cold. They turned up their collars. They wrapped their arms around themselves, and they froze. And some people began to leave the auditorium. But Lois noticed one little man running up and down, picking up newspapers. And he started to put those newspapers inside of his clothes. And that was Clancy Imslund. Clancy Imslund, like me, had lived on Skid Row, and he had learned the value of newsprint as protection against the cold. This had always stayed with her, and she told it with great love and great tenderness and great humor, because she had seen him grow and develop down the years. And I think it would have been rather lovely if I didn't have to tell this story. Maybe she had told it to him. Many years ago, we started this little habit we have in Bristol of bringing people into Bristol once a year, the newcomers group. Usually always Americans. Started really because we felt that we ought to really show some gratitude for the things that the Americans and America had offered us in the form of recovery through AA. We had Dr. Jack Norris, we had Nell Wing, we had Bob Pearson, and in 1973 we had Lois Wilson, and she came to Bristol, and she was going to spend for 3 or 4 days as our guest. And I asked her if there was anything she really wanted to do while she was in Bristol. She said she'd think it through and let me know when she arrived. When she arrived, she said, "Yes, Travers, I have decided what I want to do." She said, "I wanted to trace a long-lost cousin of Bill's who lives in Wales." Now, many of you here will know that Bill's full name was William Griffith Wilson, and that's the Welsh contact he had. One of his grandparents had been Welsh. So I said, "Sure, Lois, fine, we'll go over to Wales in the car. Now, what addresses, what leads have you got?" She said, "Well, I haven't got too many, but I know we're going to find them." And so we set out to find this cousin, and I had a vision that we would leave on the following morning reasonably early, and we'd be back in time for an evening meal, have accomplished that mission. We went to Cardiff, we started them, we started the little leads we had, and they all came to nothing, and we picked up fresh leads, and we followed those, and the day wore on. When it got to about 6 o'clock in the evening, I was extremely tired and getting a little fraught. And I said, "Well, now, Lois, I think we'll have to call it a day and forget this and go back to Bristol." She said, "No way. We will start again first thing in the morning." And we stayed over there for the night. Sure enough, 8 o'clock in the morning, we were back out knocking on doors. And that went on for the whole of the second day. And I felt I was in the presence of a driving force such as I had never known. We were unsuccessful on the second day, and on the third day we started again. By this time my temper was a little frayed. I was beginning to get bad feelings about Lois, resentments and things like this were creeping in. What the hell had ever made us ask her to Bristol in the first place anyway? And surely Bill now in heaven wouldn't want us to spend the rest of our lives in and out of cars, in and out of retired people's homes, geriatric homes and hospitals. And I think I knew on that third day, from the feeling within that car with just Lois and I together, of what Bill must have felt and known so well about when he wrote about self-will run riot. And late on the third day, we did find the person, and she relaxed. I recovered within the next 3 or 4 years, but I've always kept that recollection of this wonderful woman. I don't want to say too much more about her. I just want to say, in closing, something. I want to tell you a little bit of the circumstances of last Thursday. Yes, I should do that. That I heard that she died peacefully. She had all her faculties when she died. And just before she died, the people sitting round the bed, there was Lois, there was Fran, who had been looking after her for years, a lovely male nurse. And they felt that kind of comforting words should be said to reassure her. She was wired up and she had tubes running through her. She couldn't speak, but she had a pad and pen. And the comforting words they were offering her were, of course, that what a great job she had done, and how much was owed to her, and the immense gratitude that was felt worldwide. And they felt that was the right way to see her through. And at the last moment, she picked up the pad and the pen, and she wrote simply these words: I was merely an instrument. Right at the end, she had all her faculties, and she could pull it together in just that one simple sentence. To the members of Al-Anon present, to my fellow members of AA present, I would say that the wheel has come full circle. Our co-founders are dead, Bob and Bill, and now Lois. And you can truly say that we are now parentless. And that means that, of course, now we, each of us individually, must become our own parents. God bless you, and thank you for listening to me.